Take 5. 5 questions to authors and artists. With a common question, we get a personal perspective on what shapes their views. Welcome, Nadeem Islam. Can I just ask you, is there any book that inspired you to write?
I would say my school textbooks, because they opened my mind. Because when I was 14 and 15, it was made compulsory in Pakistan that sciences would be taught to children that age, and meaning things like evolution will be taught to children, and it's going on in certain American schools where they don't want evolution. But that, I have to tell you that an equivalent of that happened in Pakistan. So the conservative Islamic teachers were upset by the fact that now the kids were being taught things like biology, evolution, the alternative narrative about how life came to be. So, but for me it was liberating, because that just suddenly opened my mind, and it gave me permission to imagine my own narratives about what life was. So I would say my science textbooks inspired me to write.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And do you feel, though, that after having read these textbooks, obviously it's really evident that it opened your mind and allowed fueled your imagination. But how did you get to that next step from almost interpreting what was in your head to putting it on, whether it be pen and paper or a computer, or, how did the words form from there?
I think that is a mysterious process in a way, and I don't want to examine it too much, because language is such a private thing that you just go into your study, and after a while you begin to write, and you write as Nadeem Aslam, because there is only one Nadeem Aslam, and he's writing a novel called The Blind Man's Garden. Nobody else on the planet is doing that. There's only one Nadeem, and how it is being done, where it came from, only part of it is apparent to me. The rest is mysterious, and perhaps should remain mysterious.
I'll go with that. And are there any books you wish you'd written?
Any good book. I mean, any good novel that you read, you think, I want to be as good as that. So the great writers, and people will have their own candidates about what a great writer is. D.H. Lawrence, William Faulkner, V.S. Naipaul, Garcia Marquez, so Joseph Conrad, Thomas Hardy, any number of books these people written, you think, I want to write books as good as that.
Mm-hmm. And are there any books that you would like read to you?
Well, there are books that, poetry is wonderful to listen to, because in Pakistan there's a great tradition of actually trained singers, popular singers, singing poetry, ghazals and poems. So, poetry, of course.
Mm-hmm. And what about books? Do you often feel that you would like almost, off the written page, it feels as if it needs another voice to almost...
No, I don't
You
feel
quite
that.
like that private intimacy.
I like that. I like the voice in my own head.
I guess it's a bit promiscuous having the other voice. It's like a ménage à trois. Suddenly you've no longer... But you don't like
Reading,
that possibility of being a little bit promiscuous?
I've never tried it, but I always... reading is thinking with two brains. Your own and the writer's. So... that is enough, and I think a third element shouldn't perhaps be there. Certainly I don't feel comfortable listening to audiobooks. I like to see, in my real life, I actually forget names and information, and I can only remember them if I've seen them written down.
Mm-hmm. Do you think there's anything that doesn't belong between the covers of a book?
No, I think you can write about anything you wish.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and finally, do you feel that before the days of print, would you have been a storyteller? whether it be around the campfire?
I mean, it's
or...
possible, isn't it? I mean, I can't see why not. I can't see why not. You know,
so do you feel
stories.
kind of compelled that you've got a story, so whether you're writing it or not, you need to communicate it?
You need to communicate. I think communication is the ultimate thing, isn't it? So, yes.
You would. And just tell me a little bit about your recent book, because obviously you're here at the London Book Fair promoting it. So how do you find this whole... Because it sounded, you know, I've just heard you speaking, and it seemed like you were uncomfortable with the marketing that goes on, with the social media, that, you know, somewhere like this book fair, which is obviously for not just published authors, but authors looking for publishing deals.
No, I think
it's an integral part to try and take that next step. But you almost disengage there.
No, I think it's not something that I'm uncomfortable with marketing or something. It's just that, I mean, I have a certain temperament. I am who I am, and I'm not very comfortable in big crowds. I'm not very comfortable. That I spend most of my day alone, thinking, reading, etc., etc. So there is this shyness and hesitancy which comes in, which would be there if I was doing anything. If I was selling soap, I wouldn't be a very good soap salesman or a very good waiter, or etc. Because I like to be alone. Mm-hmm. So there is that, but I think that it has nothing to do with marketing or etc. I actually think that these things are important. Mm-hmm. That I mean, before I was a writer, I was a reader. And how did I find out about a new book? Mm-hmm. I found out about it because I picked up a newspaper and there was an interview. I picked up and saw an advert, and I turned on the TV and there was the author being interviewed. I turned on the radio and there was the author being interviewed, the book. So marketing, etc., is part of what you do.
But you know, social media is a bit of a contradiction because it's not social; it's a solitary activity. You know, communicating to people
well, I don't know
online.
I don't know. About
You're not interested in
because I don't use the internet that much. I don't. I'm not on Facebook. I'm not on. I don't do those things.
Well, listen. Thank you so much for taking the time out. Really appreciate it.